Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wonderful people, lovers of freedom all over the world. Dendom and on a Biafrland and Hegemonte, wherever you are joining us from today. This is Let's Talk TV, your one and only YouTube platform that gives you quality news and information on all the activities happening in Biafran territory. Yes, my people. It is time to talk. It is time to talk the reality. It is time to talk all the matter with the happen for Biafrlands. It is time to talk all the issue pending and trending, all the issue disturbing and affecting every Biafrans, and all the issue that is happening in Biafrland. Yes, it is time to talk. And we are talking about the issue of the creation of another state in southeastern part of the country. The video you're about to watch is a live broadcast of the Prime Minister Simon Èkpá addressing that particular issue. It is a very serious issue. And first of all, before I play this video, now, have you actually agreed with me that truly Simon Èkpá is the biggest nightmare of the Nigerian government? Why do you think they are trying to create another state in Biafrland? These are the questions, that I want you to go to the comment section and answer. The first question: do you now agree that truly the Prime Minister Simon Èkpá is the biggest nightmare of the Nigerian government currently? So for those of you who went around on social media saying that we are not seeing any effect of the Prime Minister Simon Èkpá, hope you are actually seeing the effect of the Woto Promas Krona. Hope you're not seeing the effect, the Woto effect of the Prime Minister Simon Èkpá. And also, secondly, why do you think the Nigerian government are trying to create another state in the southeastern part of the country? For me, these are all gimmicks, of distraction and a way, to take our people, their mindset, or bring more issues that will contradict the freedom that we are looking for, the freedom of Biafra. All these things are just poised down and fighting, the freedom that we are seeking. They know what they are doing, they know what they are doing. And that is why they are doing everything possible to make sure that they bring down Biafra. But it will not work, because the reality is that I don't know how he does it, but the Prime Minister Simon Èkpá is always 10 steps ahead of the Nigerian government. That is why he is always able to tackle every problem that they bring. If they follow right, he will defend them and send them back. Let us listen to what he said in this powerful broadcast. And do not forget, help us to share this news. Help us to share this broadcast of the Prime Minister Simon Èkpá, because the world needs to continue to hear the reality and the truth. And here on Let's Talk TV, we'll keep on giving you that reality. Enjoy.
I am the leader of indigenous people of Biafra all over this very planet, I tell you. I lead indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. So also do I command the armies of Biafra. They are fiercely loyal. They are loyal, I tell you, and doing the work that I expect them to do. I also direct Radio Biafra not through any power which I possess or any extraordinary knowledge, but by your grace, O Lord. By your grace, Chukwokika Biama. We honor you and we adore you. I know that some people listening, including the British, may not understand what we are doing, but there is nobody in Britain that answers Nwachukwu, the child of heaven. We do. Therefore, when we worship our Father, people should not try to be jealous. They should not feign ignorance or misunderstanding, because we are ancient people. We have been doing this for over 5,000 years and will continue to do so.
Remain adamant that he probably is not going to allow this. He said the unity of Nigeria is non-negotiable. That clearly indicates that he's not going to relent in his push to silence any voice of dissenting as far as that position is concerned. So which way forward to heal the divide between or amongst the Nigerians, especially on Biafra crisis?
I think the best thing is to ask them what they want. I remember one time Professor Wole Soyinka said, if we can continue fighting Biafrans for such a long time, it's not long before we go to war, which is actually happening right now. Why don't we ask them what they want? And for sure they have voiced and they have said it, that they want referendum. Why? Because for a long time, they do not have a mutual understanding with the rest of the Nigeria nation. They are not understood. They are marginalized for such a long time. They are not wanted by the rest of the Nigerian government. So the best thing is to take them to a referendum so that we know exactly what they want and separate them if that is exactly what they want. Why? Because if we continue like this, these are crises not only in Nigeria, but it will have a ripple effect to the bordering countries. And with time, it will have a big effect to the African countries. As I'm talking, Africa has the largest immigrants to the world. It has the largest refugees to the rest of the continents. Why is that so? It's because of such crises that we can see in Biafra and Amazonia and other countries like Sudan. So I think before we even move forward, it's very important that we give or they're given referendum. From there, they can be able to sort out the rest of the challenges. And it's quite unfortunate because we have diplomatic missions in Nigeria. Why can't they take that issue with them and sort it out? Why are they quiet? Why is the world quiet when Biafrans are suffering? Why is the world quiet when we know very well that such issues can affect the whole of the African continent? It's quite sad, and that's why as Punchline Africa TV will continue talking to the world and saying that these people need a referendum. They're not needed. If you don't need me in your space, give me what I want so that I can self-govern myself, which I think it's a good way and a diplomatic way of allowing people to go their way.
That would be good. Coupled with that, I would like you to approach it from a different angle altogether. What probably could have informed this agitation for, of course, separation, for a referendum to go separate ways between, of course, Nigeria and the people of Biafra? Let's approach it from that angle as you and ask ourselves, what probably can we do to see into it that we find a healing in this divide?
Yeah, I think it's paramount to understand that for starters, there was no redemption, and the word you just used, healing, from the first Biafran crisis in 1967, to the 3 years fighting. And if you remember very well, there was a brief period where they got their independence, and then the Nigerian military decided to send all the planes to just bomb indiscriminately anybody who was found in that region. And those scars are passed on in what is called transgenerational trauma. You don't even have to tell your child about this. It's the same thing that affects most African countries. You don't really need to tell your child, hate this person or hate this person, but the way you behave and the way you talk about these things and the tone with which you use, your children pick that, and then they grow up with that. They send it to their children and their children's children, and each generation comes forth understanding their history and knowing very well that we are the people who have been marginalized in a country where we are one of the most, we are creating profit. We're bringing GDP, one of the highest rates of GDP. We're bringing the largest group of intelligent people. We're bringing the largest group of talented people. And yet we are the people who are not benefiting from all this. And this Nigeria, they're going to vote and ratify that they need to be separate from Nigeria. The thing that the federal government of Nigeria fears about this is because they'll lose most of their resources and they'll lose most of their manpower and that skilled labor. This is something they should have addressed to prevent the anthills building a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I like that. You said if probably the federal government of Nigeria will have asked the people of Biafra what they want 10 years ago, things would have been different. Maybe the needs would have been different. But as it is today, the only call, and it remains so, is a referendum and nothing short of it. Let me hear from Linda Alela what you have to say about it. How can we heal the divide?
To all Biafrans and lovers of freedom and everyone that have keyed in today. We apologize for the delay in transmission, and you're all welcome to this live briefing from the Prime Minister of the indigenous people of Biafra. Ladies and gentlemen, without wasting much time, let's welcome the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Biafra, Mazi Simon Èkpá Njoku, the Universal Ambassador of Peace and the only true leader of the Biafran people. Prime Minister, over to you, please.
Good evening, everyone. Sonny, the Minister of Information, is my voice coming up clear?
Very well, sir.
I welcome every one of you this evening, ladies and gentlemen of the press, cabinet members of the Biafra Republic Government in Exile, ministers, my Chief of Staff, Rabeza, I can see you here. I welcome every one of you, including those listening anonymously, to this space. This is again a very important evening that we will be putting capability where capability is. Without wasting any time, we want to make it very clear today that any attempt to create a state by illegitimate entity and impose this state on Biafra people will be very catastrophic. It will not only be a very catastrophic attempt, but will escalate the crisis to the next level. The next level meaning that the crisis is no longer against the arm-carrying Islamic State under Nigeria military or Nigeria terrorist army, but those facilitators who deliberately, in the midst of the crisis and the war over Biafra people, go ahead with the Fulani Caliphate to create and impose a state without a consent and approval and mandate of Biafra people. It is going to be a very, very catastrophic attempt. And the message the Biafra government have this evening is that every person from Biafraland who actually may be in Abuja on his or her own, because every representative or so-called representative from the Biafra territory has been served with a vote of no confidence. And they no longer represent Biafra people. They no longer speak for their so-called the South-South and the Southeast. From senator to House of Representative members to the list. Whoever that is involved in the shambolic creation of state to cause chaotic situation will be ready to face the music. Biafra people are very angry. They are very, very, very angry for the fact that in the midst of the momentum for agitation and the liberation of Biafra people, when we have gathered over 30 million signatures and votes for the declaration of the restoration of independence of Biafra, some stupid idiot will be in Abuja with their beer stomach and discussing about a state without discussing and seeking the consent of the Biafra people, like we, Biafra Republic Government in Exile, have done by making sure that we get the mandate of the Biafra people by conducting a self-referendum, which is, by the way, still ongoing, the second phase. By the virtue of the response and compliance so far by the Biafra people, Biafra Republic Government in Exile remain the only legitimate representative of the Biafra people who have stood very tall in all the adversity, making sure that the life and properties of our people are protected within the Nigeria enslavement. These criminals who parade themselves in Abuja as senator and House of Representative members care nothing about the welfare, security, life and properties of the people of Biafra. All they do is how to create state, distort map, change demography, and somebody will be somewhere planning how he is going to become a governor in a new state. The face of the liberation of Biafra, this particular phase may not require too much talk. We want to know who is going to append his signature or who we claim to be responsible for moving a motion of additional state in the southeast of Biafra in order to distract the liberation of Biafra this year. It is going to be you versus the entire Biafra people. I don't know what that means. We will give you a personal no grantor in Biafrland. If any senator or any House of Representative member, if your name is part of those who we are going to see as those pushing for a additional state instead of addressing the fundamental problem and the fundamental issue facing Biafra people today, if your name is found in any document proposing additional state to further distort and divide and rule our people, believe me, you will never enter Biafra land. You will remain in Abuja until you die. The freedom of our people have seen death of many men, noble men and women. And you can't be a stumbling block. Biafrans and the wrath of Biafra will fall on you. There are different types of terrorists, those who aid them, those who encourage them, and those who carry out the act of terrorism. Nigeria government is a terrorist state, and anybody supporting a terrorist state is also a terrorist. We have not remembered those who facilitate the attack on our people. We only focus on those who are the field commanders and attackers of our people. But very soon, very, very, very soon, with this latest development, very soon, this particular self-defense will be taken to a different level. Because those who facilitate and enable us in our land think that the only problem we have identified are those carrying guns. Those who are not carrying guns, who give them guns and support them with whatever they have and their position, are even more dangerous. They are more dangerous. Without them, nobody will come to Biafra land and kill. Without Hope Uzodimma, Imo State will not be a war zone. He is not the only governor in the southeast under Nigeria, which we have actually given a vote of no confidence. But he has taken it upon himself to be one of the most dangerous enabler in Biafra land. And of course, like I said, we may begin to channel our self-defense to the grassroots. The grassroots means that those who facilitate the attack on Biafra people, those who stay in their offices and plan how to execute, kidnap, and kill Biafra people, the self-defense will be taken to them. For this state, anybody seen writing and endorsing additional state instead of looking for a permanent solution over Biafra issue will be dealt with by Biafra people. I want to make it very clear this evening that Biafra is very, very angry. Biafra people are angry. The spirit of Biafra, very, very angry. And it will be very, very ruthless. It's just a matter of time. I want to inform you this evening why the hope of people, gullible Nigerians, have lost. They are losing their hope. Biafra people remain hopeful. One of the famous quotes of Mandela, remember that hope is a powerful weapon, even when all else is lost. Hope is a powerful weapon. I call on Biafra people this evening to remain very, very hopeful on the liberation and the declaration of the restoration of the independent state of Biafra come 2024, 2nd December. You must remain very, very hopeful. What they did was to impoverish all Biafrans, make you poor. You eat by hand to mouth on daily basis. And when you try to rise up against them, they remind you how poor you are and how you cannot eat. How you can't afford 3 square meals a day. The people reminding you about how poor you have become are the ones who on purpose make you to be poor so that you can never rise up against them. One of the things that Biafra Republic Government in Exile did was to use 3 years of the kidnap of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to train and prepare you for the days ahead. Today, the dividend of the actions of the Biafra Republic Government in Exile can be seen. How strong we have stood in all the troubles, in all the threats. Biafrans have remained very strong, resisting the British enslavement called Nigeria. And it baffles them. One of the caliphate politicians was quoted to say, Nigeria are too weak. They are too poor. They can never stand and resist or revolt against the government. They thought they actually have succeeded. Today, it is not so. We have proven to them that Biafra people, you have used 3 years to train, especially during the sit at home, when everybody was shouting heaven and earth. Biafra remained very, very persistent and stood their ground, irrespective of the hardship. No part of Nigeria can sit at home today and survive it. No part of Nigeria can sit at home and survive because they made this system in a way that if you don't go out one day to look for what you and your family will eat, hunger will strike you. Is that how a system should be? Is that the kind of system you are supporting? A system where somebody will not go for one day to business and the person will lose everything and the person will die. If you do not go out, you won't have a food for yourself and your family. Is that how a system should be? Is that the kind of system you are supporting? because they design it that every living human being in Nigeria must live from hand to mouth, except them in Abuja, except them in government houses. And when you try to rise up to talk, they will call for your head. We stop them ahead of time. Today, you can see the reason why we insisted on making sure that we train our people. We gathered enough firewood during the dry season. For the rainy season will come, when others will be running helter-skelter looking for firewood, we have enough in our stock. It is as a result of the momentum of the Biafra liberation today that necessitated this stupid and idiotic move of Southeast additional state. Without the momentum, would they talk of new state? How will new state solve the problem of the fact that we are under siege by the Islamic terrorist state called Nigeria, by the terrorist army? How will additional state solve the problem that Boko Haram are killing people all over Nigeria? How does a new state solve the problem that you do not have money to go to hospital? How does the new state solve the problem that you do not have good road? How does additional state in the Southeast solve the problem that you remain a second-class citizen in your own country, in your own court country? How does that particular new state make you to become a president of Nigeria? How does that make you to have good school, good road, social amenity, social services, national insurance scheme powered by the government? How does this new state solve any problem, provide jobs, make you or make the unemployment rate to drop? How does this new state solve the insecurity, the Fulani remanding and marauding around Biafrland, killing our people, trying to grab our land, and of course, ravaging the entire Biafra and other part of Nigeria? How does that solve your problem? I have been listening to people commenting on the new national anthem. The reason I have not made a comment on that is because it is none of our business. But you see, this new state is our business. We can never allow it. And let me tell you, like I said, the Biafra Defense Forces are ready to take this particular liberation to the next level. The level we are now is self-defense against those arm-carrying criminals and terrorists in our land. The next phase of the self-defense is to go after those empowering and sponsoring them. Politicians, stay away from anything in the Southeast and South-South.